What confuses you but seemingly no one else? Why women's jeans have fake pockets? Algebra just makes zero sense to me. No matter how hard I try, I'll never be able to comprehend it. Jello. No one seems to find Jello as strange as I do. It's a solid, it's a liquid, it's a viscoelastic polymer made out of polypeptide chains. But you eat it. I mean, it tastes good. Kissing. Who was the one who decided to smush their lips on someone else's first? Why I need 3 tries to plug in an USB. First try. Proper orientation, but you push too tentatively, not wanting to damage the hardware. Second try. Bad orientation. You can push that puppy all day long and get no joy. Third try. Good orientation again, but now you're using the Conan. What is good in life? School of USB plugging. It's going in, brah. Years of Reddit has prepared me. When the clocks go back, am I gaining or losing time? They do it, so we have more sunlight in the wintertime, so office or factory workers won't lose their minds. Nothing to do with gaining or losing time. It is easier to change clocks than all the schedules of jobs everywhere. Well, that was the original idea, and it was to benefit farmers. It was actually put in place to save energy during World War II, which it has actually failed miserably at. I think we lose a couple $1 billion every year due to loss of productivity and increased accidents due to sleep, schedule shifting. Directions. I'm horrible at telling people how to get somewhere, and unless I have a compass, I have no idea which way I'm going. How to use a rice cooker. Everyone else in the world seems to use one with ease, but try as I do, I never know how much water to put in, how long to cook for, etc. I think I'm an idiot. Why is so much clothing for women so translucent? I have no problem with it, but I just don't get it. It seems like that get really expensive and irritating to have to wear like 3 layers just so people can't see through it. How to make small talk. Every time I try, it's filled with awkward silence and the urge to say something stupid or not funny that I have to actively suppress. For most others, it's second nature. I just don't get it. How the hell a fax machine works. I've had the process explained to me, but I can't wrap my head around it. If you can understand how the internet works, you can understand how fax works. It's even simpler. Your fax machine just calls somebody else's fax machine, then basically reads them the data in binary. Then they can put it back together and it prints out. That puzzle about how if you have to choose a prize from 3 doors, if you pick door 1, then immediately switch to another door, somehow you're guaranteed to win. How to express negative feelings. That is, stop doing that. It makes me feel bad, or that's annoying, etc. I just don't understand how to do it without coming off as super serious and shutting down the interaction. I see my friends and others do it all the time, but it's such a precarious situation for me. How to judge distances. I have no idea how far it is to the end of my street. 50 meters, 100 meters, 200. How do people just tell by looking how tall or far or long something is? I use the Megalodon scale for that. I was so impressed by it when I was little that it burned in my memory. A Kasha-Rodin Megalodon could grow up to 20 meters, so I learned to estimate how much 20 meters was, and just use that all the time. How many Megalodon are till the end of the street? How many Megalodon could fit vertically in that building? Music. I don't know what off-key means. Pitch, rhythm, all of it. I just don't get, okay, I think I can do this. Pitch is just highs and lows. High-pitch things are like a flute. Low-pitch things are like a bass drum. When someone singing is said to have perfect pitch, it means they can very accurately hit the proper pitch or frequency of a piece of music. Rhythm is just the pattern a piece of music follows through time. Keys are a way of categorizing pitch. How mathematicians have learned to factor I, which is an unreal number that cannot exist as we understand them. It exists as much as any other number exists. A long time ago, someone made the stupid decision to call it imaginary and the others real. Hundreds of years ago, they also didn't believe in negative numbers. You can't square root a negative number is like saying you can't subtract a larger number from a smaller number. You absolutely can. You just need to extend your number system. That's not quite the problem with imaginary numbers people normally have. Negative numbers are easy to accept because the concept of debt is ingrained on us. But outside some bad geometry, most people won't even realize imaginary numbers have an application at all. Pro or college football rules or penalties. I love to watch football, but I never see what anyone is talking about when they are yelling at their TV. That was holding. That was pass interference. I watch the plays again and just don't see it. Sorry, foreigner here. Are the rules penalties different between pro and college football? I actually really enjoy watching the NFL, but it's taken me so bloody long to understand why everything takes so long. If there's other rules for college ball, I'm out. There are some small differences, which are really just modifications to allow for less experience experienced players. An example of this would be the 2-foot inbounds rule for wide receivers catching a ball. In college, it's only 1 foot, which makes a big difference. How people can remain happy while complaining all the time. I gotta keep positivity. Complaining gives them a sense of control, like someone will hear, someone will say you're right, this isn't fair, this shouldn't be happening. So as long as they are complaining, it means they are still feel optimistic and safe and are therefore happy. It's when you stop complaining that true pessimism or realism begins. I personally never see the benefit of complaining about things I can't control. It always seemed counterintuitive for me to talk and get worked up about a problem instead of focusing on things I can control. Why we don't just use the metric system? It makes everything so much easier. Well, at least you're not stuck having to switch back and forth all the time. Canada. I am 6 foot tall, but I need to drive a 150 kilometers to get to my parents' place. UK here. I know my weight in stone, height in feet, drink my beer in pints, but couldn't possibly measure anything by eye, other than in meters. However, if you ask how far away something elsewhere in the country is, I'll answer in miles. I know how far a meter is in front of me, but if you want to measure distance upwards, that is height. I'd rather do it in feet. Likewise, if you want to know how far something far away is, you'll get the answer in miles, despite short distances being measured in meters. If you want a pint of water, I can do that, but only because I own pint glasses. If you want a liter of water, I'd be guessing, and probably badly. I weigh my food or meal ingredients like flour, rice, etc. in grams, but purchase vegetables in pounds. It varies by the age of the person. The older they are, the more imperial measurements they know, and the less metric. It's impossible to work with. My entire life is guesswork. You think you have it hard in Canada. You know nothing, my friend. How overhyped or underrated has any bearing at all on the actual quality of something? When something is overhyped, everyone praises its release and makes it look absolutely great. But upon release, it is a letdown and doesn't live up to its hype. Examples of this: games like Destiny or Titanfall. Underrated is when something, a movie or game, is critically acclaimed and loved by their fans, but it isn't too famous among others. Cult classic is another term too for these things, and examples of this are the 2003 version of Oldboy or Jackie Brown. Games that are underrated is the Max Payne series or Alan Wake. Hope this helps. If someone had a decent joke and they got you really excited saying that it's the funniest joke they have ever heard, then you will find the joke a disappointment because you had higher expectation. The quality remains the same, but your expectations change. Something overrated may be better than something underrated, but you might like the underrated thing better because one blew your expectations out of the water while the other one didn't live up to them. What do people talk about with their friends? I see all my friends engaged in the latest texting app, all chatting day in, day out. What do you talk about? Please answer. Teen boy with non-existent social life. I'm a teenage boy who's social, and honestly, all it takes is one small thing to kick off a conversation. With me talking to female friends, it's small talk, usually asking how their day was, and it eventually unfolds itself. With male friends, it's the same thing, but much easier since it's easier to relate to what they're talking about. There is a large contingent of people, myself included, for which this sadly isn't the case, and this sense of it's obvious, you just do it, comes from the fact that socializing comes naturally to you. How to socialize and how to date are incredibly common topics on Reddit, but those who try to help can never provide a satisfactory answer because the very experience of having social skills isn't an active, this is how you bake a cake scenario. It's just an implicit part of your personality that your life experiences have built up. As with most others, I'm pretty convinced it's not possible to provide real answers or advice to those questions in a general sense. Say God exists. Who or what created him? People always say he created himself, but honestly, what does that even mean? Say he doesn't exist. Where did we come from? Yeah, we have evolution in space and the universe, but where did that come from? For the atheist point of view, they say that they have people researching stuff to do with the beginning and the Big Bang, but Christians tend to just say that they don't know and cannot know. They also tend to be okay with that. How someone can say, go, I want to have multiple children. I mean, oh God, I had one who was only 5 pounds, and that was the most horrendous pain I have ever felt in my lifetime of excruciating incidents. Why women's clothing is so tight or see-through? I mean, I have no problem with skin-tight clothing, but it seems weird when most of the guys I see on a daily basis wear extremely loose sweatpants and baggy t-shirts, while most women wear extremely tight clothing like leggings or skinny jeans. I really don't get it. How people keep track of when things happened. I can generally, not always, tell whether something happened today, yesterday, or the day before, between last week and the current week. Sure, maybe if it's only Monday. I can mostly guess within a couple months of something that happened earlier in the year. Longer than a year ago, it's a bad whether or not. I can gauge within a year or 5 of when it really happened. I can tell you the sequence of events leading up to virtually any moment of my life in perfect order. The unwritten rules of dating all went good and seemed like you enjoyed each other's company. Nope, never calls or writes again. Where has the decency went? Sorry, I think you're not what I'm looking for partner-wise. And at least you know, do we really need the 3 to 5 day period when you're not sure what the hell happened? Someone who knows more be as kind as to explain this idiotic dating mayhem that has become a reality. Not so much confuses me, but something I don't think many people consider. Let's say God exists, and he created everything, and the Bible is 100% true. Is the description given to us really that of a being that deserves our worship? And I'm not just talking Bible stories, but everything that's happening now. Let me put it like this. If I was walking down the street and I see some woman being raped in some dark alley, I, a mere mortal, would do something to help. I'd attack her, or at the least, call the police. But now we have someone who not only sees this woman being raped, has the power to completely stop it with nothing more than a thought, but chooses not to. These are not the characteristics of a being I feel we should be praising and praying to. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.